Hi guys. Alright, here's the video for 5-4. What we're doing for this lesson is the main objective is to write an equation in y equals mx plus b form and then use that equation or that formula when I give you a specific value. Okay, so all the steps leading up to this are things that you need to do in order to write an equation. Okay, so first it says draw a line of best fit. Well, for the point of class, for notes in class, I wanted everybody's data to look pretty much the same. So we have the line of best fit already drawn. Okay, so that part's already done. 2, find the slope. Okay, so this is what we did in class on Friday. So one of you're going to pick 2 points, not dots, okay? Pick, the 2 points you pick may be dots, they may not be. One of them should be your y-intercept. It's not that it has to be, but you have to find the y-intercept anyway, so you might as well use it. Okay, then you're going to start at the other end of the line and work your way up till you find a spot where the line is going to cross a coordinate pair nicely. Well, I would say that the very beginning of the line crosses nicely, and the coordinates of that are, excuse me, I wrote that backwards. Okay, make sure that you put your x value first and your y value second. Okay, so to find slope, which is m, remember we're going to work from the bottom up. Okay, 0 increased to 5, and 800 decreased to 0. So that's a change of 5 and a change of negative 800. And once that's set up as a division, that's negative 160. Now I can write my y equals mx plus b. Y equals m is negative 160, x plus 800. Now, one thing I would encourage, that's a perfectly fine full credit answer. Okay, you could also use f of x. That would be fine as well. Okay. If you really wanted to, I would challenge you, okay, to instead of using x's and y's, use letters that represent what we're actually talking about. Like this graph is about the computer's value over time as it ages. Okay, I mean, and this goes for any tech, computers, cell phones, video game systems, anything like that. They start off expensive and then they lose their value over time because newer technology comes out and replaces it. So in this case, instead of the letter y, we could say, well, the y-axis is represented by the value in dollars. So we could pick V, we could pick D for dollars. I'm going to say V for value. Equals negative 160, and now here's the x. The x-axis is representing the age in years of the computer. You could use A for age, Y for years, T for time. I'll use Y. Plus 800. All right, so personalizing the equation to what it's specifically about is helpful, especially for the very next question. What is the value of a 2.5-year-old computer? So our job right now is to take 2.5 and sub it in for one of the letters. Well, how do you know which letter to sub in for? Well, if 2.5 represents years and this letter y represents years, you got it. This y up here, don't confuse it, this y does not stand for years. This y up here in the first row stands for y-axis. So V for value, the value of the computer is negative 160 times 2.5 plus 800. So if I put that in my calculator, I get that the value will be $400. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Miss Andrews, I can go into the graph and see that. Okay, I can go up here to the 2.5 and follow it up to the line and follow it across the 400. Yeah, in this particular case, it's not that hard to read that off the graph. But if I asked you for a value that was not on the graph, or if I asked you for something really specific like 2.79, okay, that would be a little tougher to estimate, and you would get a much better answer by subbing in as opposed to looking at the graph. You'd have less variation, okay? Okay, I want to go directly to the homework right now. I apologize because this is not going to show up very well on screen. I hope that the homework printed better than this. Okay, I gotta shrink that down. Okay. So the homework says in the directions, identify 2 points on the trend line, then find the slope and the y-intercept. Use this information to write the equation of the trend line. Okay, so if I were doing number 1, like I said in class, go to your y-intercept. That's 0, 4. Now, it's asking us to also, on the homework, write that as a coordinate pair there. It's also... Now we got to find our second point. Oh, I'm going to say I see one right about there. Okay, 8 and 20. Hopefully you can read it better on your homework. Okay, so the y-intercept is 4, because that's, you know, one of our points. We use that right away. And our slope, remember we're building our division problem from the bottom up, so the x goes from 0 to 8, so that's a change of 8. And it goes, the y value goes from 4 to 20. Well, that went up by 16. And 16 divided by 8 is 2, so the slope is 2. So our equation is going to be y equals 2x plus 4. Then on the back of the assignment, or further along in here, you have, let's say, number 6. Okay. Number 6, we have a graph of the time studied versus test scores. Okay. Now the y-intercept, they're not good about drawing it all the way down, so we're going to just kind of extend, and you would do this with a ruler. You would not do this just by hand. So I'm going to use a line tool. I'm extending that all the way down, and that seems to hit, oh, come on now, at 40. Okay? So 0, 40, 0, 40. 40 is my y-intercept. Then looking for another point. I think I see one here. Remember, we're not really looking at the dots. We're ignoring the dots. We're just looking where the line crosses the grid. I think this is a good spot right here at 5 and 90. If there happens to be a dot there, that's fine, but you're not trying to find a dot. You're looking for a nice grid area. All right, so my x value goes from 0 to 5. So that means I had a change of 5. And my y values went from 40 to 90. It went up by 50. 50 divided by 5 is 10. So my slope is 10. So my equation would be y equals 10x plus 40. Again, that's fine. You could make it even better by saying instead of y, I'm going to put, let's see, the y-axis is represent test scores. What if I put T for test score? And instead of x, okay, x-axis represents the amount of time studied in hours. You could put T for time or H for hours, whatever. Okay? All right, now use your equation to estimate the test score of a student who studies for 0.5 hours. So, test score would equal 10 times a half hour plus 40. Okay? Which should be 45. Is this a positive, negative, no, or linear association? Well, I will tell you guys that positive and negative, okay, this is a positive one. But if there's no association or a nonlinear association, we can't do any of the rest of these things. So let's look at the rest of the assignment here. Okay. There's no problems on here that has no association. There's no nonlinear association. Everything is linear. It's either positive or negative. Okay? So, we can't draw a line of best fit about data that doesn't have any relationship. We can't draw a line of best fit if the data we have is a curve pattern. Okay, so I will say on your homework, anytime this is being asked of you today, the answer is positive or negative. You're not going to say no, and you're not going to say nonlinear. Not today. Not today. Okay, thank you for watching. Have a good day. See you next time.